If you're in this path, make sure you go inside. Make sure you're inside, away from windows, on the lowest level of your house. Try to get to the most sturdy section of your house. Put as many walls between you and the storm outside as you can. You want to get to as safe a place as you can. We talk about this all the time. When these thunderstorms roll through, when these tornadoes roll through, you got to have a safe place. Now's the time to get in that safe place, whether it's in a bathroom, whether it's underneath the staircase, maybe somewhere in your basement. If you don't have a basement, then get to that lowest floor you can. Avoid windows and just wait there. Crank the TV volume up as loud as you can, just so you can hear our voice, and we'll tell you when you're clear of that path. If you're in steam corners, it looks like you're behind it and you should be just on the back side of it, and you're clear of it now. But if you're in Lexington, Lucas, 237, Perrysville at about 245. Again, you've still got a little ways before it gets to you, but don't wait. Now's the time to get where you need to be, to get in that safe place. There's not a huge indicator with this, but we're seeing it right now, just approaching Lexington. You're going to look at that red, you're going to want to look at that green, and the direction of that potential tornado. No reports of it on the ground yet. It did about an hour ago, so we know this storm has the potential to drop a tornado, and it's showing it right now on the radar, but we don't have any ground truth just yet. So make sure you're staying safe with this. Katie, anything else from the National Weather Service? Any reports or anything?
No, not yet. So far, they have issued just that tornado warning, and there are still some severe thunderstorm warnings up to the north. We'll sit on this one for a minute, though, just due to the fact that, as you mentioned, it's already had a history of producing tornadoes on the ground, but you can also see that there is a larger severe thunderstorm warning around this pink flashing box.
Yeah, and that's going to be with the hail threat with that. If you've got a thunderstorm that's producing or has the potential to produce a tornado, you've got a huge updraft, and those updrafts can develop that large hail with it. Lucas, right there's a little bit of a burst in energy right there, just southeast of Mansfield, but this right there, north of Kings Corners, right into Lexington, that's where you have that potential for 1-inch hail. It says severe hail 50% with that right there, but you've got the energy there. So I'd go ahead and make sure you're doing what you can. As far as hail is concerned, it's one of those things where you just got to be inside. You've got the tornado concern with it as well. That's where you have that pink box. Anybody in this box? I know Mansfield, you're still included in that tornado warning, but you may be just far enough north. We'll watch this kind of roll right on through. I think Lucas is in the crosshairs of this. I think Lexington absolutely right now is a top priority. If you've got friends and family in Lexington, let them know. Maybe they're not paying attention. Maybe they just think it's a regular thunderstorm. Text them. Give them a quick call right there. That's looking very strong indication that we're getting some rotation with this storm.
It's so far away, though. You can't get accurate.
Right.
But the fact that we're seeing the little boxes, they're known as pixels, right next to each other, that's a better indicator that stronger rotation's happening.
Yeah, the closer that red and green is together, the closer that is together, the tighter that circulation can be. And especially if that's, 5,000-6,000 feet up away from the radar, looking at that at the surface, it's going to be even tighter, potentially. So that's where that tornado warning has been issued from the National Weather Service. Again, if you're in Lexington, I can't say it enough. Lexington, you need to be inside. You need to be in the lowest floor, away from windows, as safe as you possibly can. I know we do, and when we go to school visits, we always talk about your tornado safety positions. Crank the radio or the TV up or the radio, whatever you have, your app up. If you're streaming us on Facebook right now, take that phone with you. And when you get to your safe spot, you don't have to watch us, but you have to listen to us, and we'll tell you when the coast is clear. Make sure you put your heads down, arms over the back of your heads, and just wait it out. That's really the best thing you can do. Delaware Avenue, you've got Frederick Street, Mill Street. Here's Main Street right through Lexington. I think that was Plymouth that goes north-south right through Lexington. That's the potential there.
Yeah, it's moving pretty fast. I'm so zoomed in. So Lexington at 231, we're sitting at 224. I would say that honestly, that's probably a little slow.
Yeah.
Because it is moving closer to 40 miles per hour, and that's why this warning is so large. It goes to 3 p.m. It includes so many communities. Mohicanville, we got Perrysville, Loudonville.
Lots of camping, lots of outdoor activities, lots of people out and about trying to enjoy the summer weekend before school starts. So we're going to watch this. We're going to continue to watch this, that's for sure. In addition to that tornado warning right there, let's kind of take you on a little tour of this line as it goes farther and farther up, because this includes downtown Cleveland. The tornado warning does not, but severe thunderstorm warnings includes downtown Cleveland, Brunswick, all the way through Lodi, all the way into Richland and Ashland County. County. I mean, this is a line. There you go.
I don't like that little hook there.
That's a hook right there.
It's not super impressive rotation, but it's trying.
It'll show up. It'll show up right there. That's a good indication that we're going to start to see the little bit of inflow. It's pulling in some drier air there. It's wrapping around on the backside. No tornado warning for it yet, but that doesn't matter. If you're in Sullivan, if you're in Homer, if you're in Pawnee, Esselburn, Crawford Corners, West Salem, Polk, you're probably far enough south that if you were to look that direction, you could probably see a massive, rotation, slowly rotating up into the mezzo of that storm right there. I'm not telling you to do it. I'm just saying you're probably pretty much safe right now, but we're going to watch that very closely.
Yeah, absolutely. And, our director, Jim Perko, said that it's looking pretty ominous in downtown Cleveland right now, included in the severe thunderstorm warning, not a tornado warning, but you can see why. Right over the lake there. That is lining up pretty much perfectly with what's happening across the lake.
And I don't want to get too I guess this right here, it's not severe. That's not, I don't want to get too kind of off topic with this. The reason we're on your air right now and interrupting what you're watching is because of the potential for damage. That line of heavy rain right there, that could cause some flooding for sure, but this is the main line. Oberlin, Pittsfield, back near Elyria, Avon Lake. Yeah, there's some wind with it. Winds to 35, maybe 40, 45, and some of the gusts out there. But I think hail is a big concern with this. A ton of lightning also. And,
let's pop that on.
Overall, just the heavy rain from it as well. They just the National Weather Service will issue these blanket warnings essentially on the leading edge of all these for the wind potential. Hail is a big thing. It's going to come in little portions right there. And then that pink box down there, that's that tornado warning.
We can go back and check and see. We've probably gotten a new scan here. Get rid of the lightning. That's clearly an issue. But right over Lexington, that's where we're seeing the worst of the rotation right at 226. It actually looks a little more diffuse in my opinion, but it's still rotating.
That storm has been rotating since and that's why we are all under this tornado watch. We knew these storms were going to be spinning, essentially, rotating as they're developing, and this has already had the history back near Marion, confirmed by law enforcement, tornado on the ground. It lifted, and then now moved into, Lexington, and we're getting a little better radar indication of what we have going on with this storm. So Lucas at 241, you've got, 10, less than 15 minutes before it rolls right into Lucas. And I think as this storm rolls right through, Lucas might be in the crosshairs for some really damaging stuff as it rolls in here. Let's zoom in on Lexington a little bit right here. And we'll just push in this here. We just want to kind of help everybody out. If you're listening and you're near Lexington, again, that's where that rotation is rolling right on through. Haven't had reports of it on the ground yet, but we know the potential is absolutely there. So we have that tornado warning for southern Richland, southern Ashland counties until 3 o'clock, so for another 30 minutes.
And we did get one report that trees down and power out just north of the village of Plymouth and State Route 61. That was in the warning, correct?
I think so, yeah.
I think I remember you saying Plymouth when we were real zoomed in, but regardless, we are starting to get some ground truth of at least some type of wind damage associated with that, with power outages happening and trees getting knocked down. If you're just joining us right now, we are live on Facebook and on News 5, or Channel 5, because of a tornado warning that has been issued. It is in effect right now for Richland and Ashland counties. It is in effect until 3 p.m., so we have another half hour, and this storm, as we've been monitoring it, it has been ebbing and flowing. It's been oscillating from a little bit stronger to a little bit weaker as we've been monitoring it way even before it was in our viewing area. And you can see that right now. For us as meteorologists watching it, it's very easy to pick out where it's rotating, but I understand that that's not the case for everybody, so this is what we're concerned about. Basically, when it comes to a radar site, we're looking at something called velocity. So that shows us the potential for rotation. And when we're looking at a radar site, if I zoom out, you'll be able to see it in a better fashion. The radar site's right at Hopkins. When you're seeing the green, that's towards. When you're seeing the reds, that's away. And so as you are watching storms start to couple around each other like this, you don't want to see that. But there's other factors, as you pointed out, Trent, that when you're seeing some of those brighter greens, brighter reds, once it gets to the other side of the radar, that also signifies where you could see some of those stronger winds.
Right, absolutely. And so the damage report you were just talking about in Plymouth, that's in Huron County. That's when that storm was just rolling through with almost 2-inch size hail. So that's a little bit farther north of this. Right here, that spin. You see that red, you see that green? This is the storm as we see it rolling through here. That's what we're watching closely, and that's how we're breaking in right now. This is the most dangerous, potentially damaging part of this storm. You've got that rotation. Just got another scan in here. We're seeing, remember, Katie was saying, towards the radar, away from the radar. You've got that rotation right there. That's a 70-mile-per-hour gust right there. That's likely going to be a tornado potentially on the ground. I mean, that's something that we're going to look at very closely. Now, again, this is elevated, but if you've got that elevated, you can easily get that at the surface as well. So Lexington, let's zoom out just a little bit. Lexington is on the backside of this. I think you're clear now. I think you're safe from this storm as it tries to roll through. I think Lexington is on the backside of this. Kings Corner, Darlington, Bangerville, everywhere else around this, you're probably fine. But if you're in Lucas, if you're in even Belleville, which this may just miss you to the north, it's still very close, very close. If you're on any of these, anywhere north of Belleville, north of essentially a Belleville to Newville line, that's where you're going to want to keep a very close eye on it. Now's the time to get inside, get away from windows, get to the lowest level you have. If you've got a basement, get in it. Either a bathroom. The reason we say bathrooms is because there's typically no windows. And if there are, they're small. So it's the room with the smallest windows. Closets don't have windows. Closets are a good place to be. Underneath stairwells, that's a great place to be. Crank up the volume on your TV. Pull us up on Facebook. We're streaming this live right now on Facebook on the News 5 Cleveland Facebook page. So you don't even have to have your TV on right now. You can just have our Facebook on. You can have that information right there in the palm of your hand. So if power does go out, you can still have it right there. That's what we're looking at right there. You see that away, toward and away from the radar site right there? This next scan in the next couple minutes here is going to be really telling.
I agree.
If that tightens up or loosens up anymore at all, because right now it's showing it tightening.
It does, and I mean, you're seeing those brighter colors when you're getting the blues. When I was picking it up on the Pixel, showing almost 70-mile-an-hour winds, and then on the flip side, about 20. So we're talking a rough estimate here of 80-mile-an-hour winds, regardless of if it's tornadoes on the ground. Now, it is very elevated because it is so far away, but when we're seeing those little boxes right next to each other, bright colors, that is more and more likely that a tornado could touch down.
Yeah, that's a big indication right there. So if you're anywhere near Lexington, anywhere south of south of Lucas. I know we're talking about Lucas, but I think this is actually kind of turning a little bit farther to the right, which they do. They tend to, kind of hook a little bit towards the right. The stronger they get into their life cycles, essentially, they'll start to hook a little bit to the right. So Hastings, Belleville, I know we were talking Lucas, but I think Lucas is going to get in on heavy rain, strong winds, and some hail, in addition to a whole lot of lightning. But that tornado threat looks like it's going to start to go a little bit more this direction, near like Newville, near Hastings, just south of Coulter, south of Lucas. We'll watch that very closely. Puts it in Perrysville at about 250.
I'm not doing a good job at getting because there's so many other towns in there. Loudonville is in the warning as well. So there's a lot of communities that for whatever reason, when I do the track, it's not picking it up.
A lot of times with the way these are set up, when you get around these smaller cities, they just won't pick them up. They're just population-wise. But if you pick out where you're near, pick out anywhere that you're actually near. And if you hear one that's like the next town over, then you know you're included in that as well. Look at that rotation with that. That's actually towards the bottom of the warning there. So they may reissue this warning to include like Gatton Rock, include Butler, because this is now starting to hook a little bit farther to the south. The storm is actually turning, to the right of its main direction. So that's a pretty strong indication right there that it's maturing.
It is, and I was glad to see it at first glance that the blue went away from the green section, but unfortunately, when you're seeing these two areas are where I'm concerned, right around Spade Road and Mock Road, when the green and the reds are right next to each other and they're pretty bright in color.
It's tight.
That has a better opportunity for it's signaling stronger rotation. The National Weather Service.
Very tight.
Yeah, it has not confirmed anything. It's still radar indicated, which is important. There is such a distinction in comparison to what we saw earlier with this exact same storm. These all started as supercells, which essentially when you have the atmosphere ripe, when I went to work this morning, the sun wasn't even up and I was able to see that there were just partly cloudy conditions, and I literally thought to myself, it's on, and that's because we had so much instability that these storms started to go. Now we're starting to see rotation, and it's not just the tornado threat. We also have the heavy rain potential, which can cause huge issues, especially with travel, ponding on the roadways. You've got the lightning, and you also, I think I'm missing one. Oh, straight line winds. But I think this is going to be a pretty active afternoon. We're just getting started, kind of. As we're looking here, what about that one storm? It didn't really ever do anything. near Sullivan. We were watching a slight little hook there, but most of this.
There's a little bit of an outflow kind of trying to develop just on the bottom of that right there. Pop the reflectivity on there real quick, and we'll see if that's tightened up at all.
Yeah, there is still the hook.
You've still got what we're talking about. We're looking kind of through these storms. Yes, there's heavy rain for just about the entire line. Yes, there's going to be some strong winds, gusting 40 to maybe even up to 50. Once we get a little bit later into the development of this, they may get up to 60, but we're not seeing any of that just yet. But there's hail with it, so that's a good indication there's strong updraft, there's strong fuel, there's a lot of fuel and a lot of just physics going on with these thunderstorms to help it develop. And sometimes the reason there's a tornado watch for all of us, these will rotate. They'll get that spin with them. That helps with the hail development also. It gives you the potential for tornadoes. There's no tornado. I want to be very clear. There's no tornado warning for south of Sullivan, but we're going to watch it very, very closely because we're seeing a little bit of an inflow with that, and we're going to eventually see the potential for that storm to just spin just enough. We'll watch that very, very closely. That one actually looks a little more indicative of rotation than the one pushing out of Lexington.
I would agree, especially when you're talking about just reflectivity. It's kind of a classic setup where you've got that little hook, but in terms of rotation, not as impressive as what's happening down here. Let's do another check. We've probably gotten another scan. It's still holding up. That rotation is looking impressive. Moving toward Belleville now and right over. Let's get some roads here for you. Let's get a little closer. Spade Road. Oh, it just moved again. Reinhardt Road, Mill Road, Dill Road, Wriggle Road. If you recognize any of those street names, you live there, you have friends or family, that's where we're currently seeing the strongest rotation at this point. It doesn't look like it's intensified at all, but you're still seeing those little boxes right next to each other. It's about gate to gate is the nerdy meteorological term that you're seeing, and it's strong winds, no doubt, 70, maybe 80 mile an hour winds.
Gate to gate shear. Bringing gate to gate shear out. I love it. All right. So again, these roads that Katie was just talking about, they're a lot of them are gravel. A lot of them are just rural roads. So there's not going to be a ton of people or a ton of reports is what I'm getting at. Not a lot of ground information. So if you're near Gatton Rock, near Butler, near Newville, near Idlewood Cottage area, now south of Perrysville, south of Coulter. I know we were tracking it to Lucas, but this has turned right. So away from, not Lucas. Lucas, you're at essentially zero tornado threat right now. But Belleville went from Lexington, hooked almost pretty hard right toward Belleville, Butler, and then eventually we're going to see it near like Berger, maybe, Jellaway, Four Corners. We'll see this continue to try to roll, hook farther and farther right. They tend to do that. They build towards where there's more fuel, and this is untouched air down here.
Sure is.
So there's a lot of fuel for that storm to continue to just suck in all that moisture, suck in all that heat and all that fuel for that potential tornado. So let's zoom in on it again really quickly. There's that inflow.
Yeah.
That storm is cycling, essentially. It's going through another sort of cycle where you have more rotation. Right near Belleville. So if you're in Belleville, if you're in Butler, if you're in Hastings, you've got some massive hail likely right now. Newville as well, that's heading that direction toward Perrysville. But if you're in Belleville or Butler or any of these communities between those two areas right now, I want you to turn up the volume. I want you to take your phone with you and pull up our Facebook page. We're streaming this live on Facebook. Get to the lowest level you have. Get away from windows. Put as many walls between you and the storm outside as you can and just wait. Just wait it out. We'll tell you when it's safe. Lexington, you're safe now. Lexington, you're out of it. You're out of it. Butler, you're far enough south to where it's coming your way. Gatton Rock, it's on your front door right now. It's pushing in. So be extremely careful with this storm as it continues to just go through these rapid rotation cycles. Another scan update, not quite as clear. If we could jump over to reflectivity a little bit so we can see where we have a little bit more of that.
It is. I think they're going to have to reissue. They're watching it, the National Weather Service. They're saying basically the same thing you are, Trent, that it's near Highway 13, northeast of Belleville, near Hastings. So I assume that they're going to continue the warning, but in a different direction, more to the south and east. I'm going to check CC really quick just to see. So there is showing a little irregularity, not super impressive near Hastings. I think that the actual velocity is showing us a better view of the rotation that we're currently dealing with.
Yeah, for sure. That voice you heard, that's Chief Meteorologist Mark Johnson. He just came in here as well. So
Standing right there.
Mark just popped in here. We're seeing some massive storms with this.
Team is on it.
So we're looking at this. Let's go back to reflectivity real quickly. I want to show you this near Gatton. If you're in Gatton Rock, I know you're not in the warning. Butler, I know you're not in the warning. You've got this storm right on your doorstep. They will probably include both of those communities once they get the next issue in here. So make sure now's the time. Do not wait. Lexington, Kings Corners, backside of this, Darlington, Bangerville, you're fine. I know you're still in the severe thunderstorm warning. You're out of the risk. You're out of it all. That right there, north of Hastings, looks bright. That's where your eyes want to go to. That's the hail core. That's when you see these, storm chasers out there and they come out with broken windshields and dented cars. That's what they're shooting for, but that's not the strongest, the most dangerous part of this storm. That's near Belleville. That's where there's that warning, Katie. It just popped in there.
Yep.
They just included Butler, and it's hooking towards the right. That's what we're talking about. As that storm develops and hooks farther and farther right, building toward the fuel. You can watch essentially like a fire will burn towards the gas, towards its fuel. This tornado, this thunderstorm is building towards where it has more fuel, more untouched air, more energy for this storm to get stronger. This next scan right here, it's not as clear, it's not as evident near Belleville pushing toward Butler, but you can still see there's a difference in the colors, and that's a difference in the wind pattern, the wind flow, the wind direction with all of that. So they just reissued that until 3/15 for southern Richland County. That goes all the way to Greer there? So that goes all the way through.
There's parts of it that are not included. Most of it's for Ashland and Richland counties, and then it goes into Knox. But then it'll try, if it continues to hold up, head into Holmes.
Yeah, here's Holmes County here. You've got Wayne County up here. That's still quite a ways away, but I mean, if looking at it, there's nothing in front of it to slow it down. It's just going to have to go through its cycles, and if it cycles again, then we'll continue to to watch it, of course. So even though you're not included in this in Holmes County or parts of Wayne County, I still want you to pay attention. I still want you to pay very close attention. Wayne County does have parts of Wayne County does have that severe thunderstorm warning. That's not for the rotation. That's for the potential for large hail. We'll watch this eventually, and we'll get in on probably some stronger wind, straight line wind potential, but right now it's looking like it's mainly just a hail threat with these little clusters that try to develop. Before we forget about this storm up near this one right here up near Lodi, no tornado warning for it, but I mean, look at that. I mean, you can clearly see you've got a little bit of that. You've got a little bit of inflow. Now, the problem with this, the reason that storm to the south is trying to develop and move farther, kind of hook towards the south, is because there's energy there. This storm doesn't have that energy south of it because there's another storm eating it up. So I don't know that this will be able to maintain, but it's still going to be a strong storm. You've still got that potential for rotation. You've still got large hail. And with that, you see that little line that Katie just drew right there. That's essentially an outflow boundary that shows the storm's wind on the back side of it kind of pushing through, pushing down and around and creating like a mini little cold front, essentially. So good indication that it's still fueling itself. If you get that on the backside, you get that warmer, drier air trying to fuel it from the front.
Just going to do a check up here, but you can see that actually a lot of the warnings up in Cleveland, Lorain, Lake County, nothing issued there. It's all in the south where we have an untouched air. Even to the point, Trent, where I think, as you were mentioning, that it's energy chasing in spots that haven't seen rain. Well, if we go back over to reflectivity, you can see that there's rain out ahead of that in Holmes County. So there's a possibility it's going to shoot more down to the south and then near Coshocton potentially. But look at how impressive that little hook is that we have. Oh gosh, it's getting worse. It's far away. Yeah, it's very far from the radar site. But when you're seeing the brighter reds, the brighter blues, that's where you're seeing really intense winds. I might not even actually pixel it because it might be a little alarmist, but bottom line, you could see wind damage, even if there is not a tornado on the ground at this point. So we're around Riggle Road. These are moving around 30 to 40 miles per hour, but when you're in the midst of the tornado warning, that is not fast enough. You probably want it to be in and out, but we do have the new warning that includes Butler, Berger, Jellaway, Greer, all of these communities that are in the most southern part of the Power 5 viewing area is where we have the tornado warning in effect.
Beautiful. beautiful part of Ohio. I mean, the roads out there, they're winding, they're hilly, it's rolling hills. It's a lot of this is like Amish country. So again, it's rural areas. Trees come down, may not hear about it until tomorrow when you head back to town. I mean, it's one of those things where you have to keep a very close eye on. So this is it's a dual pole product. Our radars have the ability to kind of look inside these storms and see the shape, essentially, the each thing that it's hitting is. And this is showing that the shapes aren't necessarily round. They're not raindrops. So we potentially have some debris, right, with some of this near just north of Butler.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
What the radar is depicting. Now, again, this radar is 7,000 feet up. So it may not be debris, it may just be hail from around here. So we'll keep a very close eye on it. Very close eye on this.
Barron Button's usually pretty good actually at picking up. It's good with hail, but also when you start to see the red, signifies rotation.
So at the top of the left of the screen right here, you have hail. The higher that gets, closer to the white, the more damage potentially. And then when you start getting into these reds you're seeing out there, reds and even into the bright red and yellow, that's rotation. Now again, it's very high up, so it's a high, meaning that it doesn't necessarily mean that there's a definite tornado on the ground, but because we've been watching this and we can see this have been seeing this for over an hour now, and it's got the history of a confirmed tornado on the ground in Marion, we got to keep a very close eye on that. So this is a very serious situation. If you're in Butler, if you're in Newville, let's throw the reflectivity on there really quickly. Oh, there's your shear rate right there. So that's essentially the spin you're getting in the atmosphere you're looking at there.
You can flip back over so you can.
Yeah, right there. That's what we're looking at, just north of Butler. That's the radar indicating spin, a shear, a spinning of that atmosphere.
Right over Riggle Road.
Ooh.
Let's go
Butler.
back to
There's Cleveland Street right there that goes through Butler. You see how twisty these roads are? You can't try to get away from a storm on roads like this. Storms don't. You see a lot of storm chasers out. That's out west where all the roads are on a grid, and it's doable. You can't do that here. So don't try to run away from this storm. Make sure you get inside a sturdy structure, a house. Whether if you're out and about, a gas station, if you're seeing us or hearing us on Facebook Live, take the phone, take your tablet, take whatever you have with you. Take it with you. Get inside a sturdy structure. Get inside, if you've got Little League games, if you've got friends out with Little League games out in some of these areas, make sure you text them, tell them, let them know. Not everybody's always watching what's going on. I mean, you can hear what's going on with this storm right there with the lightning and everything, but make sure you tell your friends and family that are out and about to get to somewhere sturdy. Whether it be a gas station, whether it be even a car. If there's nothing around you, stay in your car. I know research has changed. You've got seatbelts, you've got shatterproof windows, you've got airbags all around. It's safer to be in your car than it is to be outside of your car nowadays. With the new cars we have now, they're actually pretty safe in those cars, especially with something like this. Bottom floor of whatever structure you're in, away from windows, and just get down and wait it out. We'll tell you when it's safe. You don't have to see us. You just have to hear us tell you when it's safe. I think Hastings on the backside. I think Belleville on the backside. You're fine. You've got the all clear now. Anybody west of Belleville, west of Hastings, you're fine. If you're in Newville, if you're in Butler, just north of Butler, across, I don't know what street that is right there from Newville to Butler, but it looks like a larger one, meaning that there might be some more traffic on it.
Looks like it's actually moving a little bit. It's this is what's so tricky about forecasting and tracking tornadoes. It was moving more to the south. Now it's kind of moving back to the north, headed almost right, just south of Newville over Bunker Hill North Road.
Yeah, this is a developing situation for sure. For sure, that's a massive storm, potentially producing a tornado. Again, if you're just now tuning in, you're wondering why we're on your TV screen right now. There's a tornado warning in effect for this storm right here. Look at that inflow. So that right there, that's it pulling in that fuel essentially to the south, and then on the back side of it, you see it wrapping around. So that right there is what we're looking at for our potential tornado. South of Hastings, south of Perrysville. Perrysville, I know you're hearing tons of lightning, tons of hail, tons of rain, maybe even some winds gusting up to 60, but the tornado threat is south of Perrysville, north of Nunda, heading toward Greer, heading toward even Nashville, heading into Holmes, heading into probably not Wayne County, but Holmes County, definitely in the path of this storm. Man, that is a massive storm right there. That expires at 3:15, so in another 25 minutes. But Katie, honestly, there's nothing in front of it to slow it
No,
down.
I think this is going to be a problem for a while here. It's been the storm when it developed. We can actually just do a quick little scan back and you can see where it first started to become a problem. This was over 2 hours ago outside of our viewing area in Kenton. That's when they got a tornado warning. It became a confirmed, meaning eyes on it.
That's what that circle right there is,
Yes.
Katie. That popped up right there.
Oh yeah, there we got a little storm report there. Let's see what they said. Just tornado reported on the ground in the city of Kenton. And as it continued to progress, it did briefly weaken in rotation, came down, but not long. It was about 20 minutes. New warning issued for our viewing area, southern Richland, southern Ashland. It started to sink a little bit south, and that's where we're at right now at 2:50 p.m. Warnings in effect, as you mentioned, trying until 3:15. But I think that we'll have to continue to monitor that for some time here.
Yeah, and it's kind of right on the fringe of our viewing area. I know a lot of this might be into the Columbus viewing area, but when you get down here, it's kind of a lot of folks there have a choice, one or the other. So we're going to stick with it, even though it's right on the fringe of our viewing area. There's still, I think this right here is the county line, so that's right where we're going to watch that kind of roll on through. What we're talking about is the potential for a tornado. If you're in the path of this, I know I might sound like a broken record saying the same things over and over, but as this develops, it's going to be going into new areas. So maybe you didn't have to pay much attention to it as it's rolling in, but now you do. As it rolls through toward Danville, toward Kilbuck, toward Clark, Shreve might be even farther north.
Good eye, Mark. Confirmed tornado in Ashland.
There we go.
I didn't even, the National Weather Service didn't even mention it. Is that from ILN?
In Ashland?
That wouldn't be from ILN. That
No,
would be from
but
CLE.
it does, that purple box, that's what we had just been talking about when it was out to the west near Kenton. That
Ashland County.
Yeah,
County. So
So that's confirmed on the ground by...
the northernmost
doesn't-
tornado warning box, trapezoid, is the one with the confirmed TOR on it. So, yeah. So this
Yeah, look at
has a
that.
history of producing a tornado.
I mean, that's right in where we're seeing the worst of the rotation.
Yeah,
just
Newville, that
perplexed.
area there.
going to read a little bit of these reports really quickly so we can...
So
I
again,
know.
whenever the NWS, our National Weather Service friends, change colors on boxes, it elevates the threat. That takes it up a notch.
Absolutely. And when you're inside this purple box here, so it includes Loudonville, Newville, it's right on top of you right now. Get into your safe spot. Perrysville might be just to the south of you, but bottom line as it continues to move, Idlewood, Cottage area. These are all, if you recognize these names of communities, you have friends, family, you live there, this is now a different situation versus a radar indicated. We were already pretty impressed with the rotation seen from the radar, but now that we've got a confirmed tornado, that means it's on the ground. Somebody saw it and they let the National Weather Service know, and the National Weather Service agrees.
Yeah, they've got the report right there. We've been talking about it, didn't have a report, now we have a report, so now we know for sure that this is producing a tornado. If you're in Lucas, you're out of the clear. You just had another update. There we go. Let's jump it back down here. Just, just through Newville, just through Butler. So the reds and the greens you're seeing with this, those are winds going in different directions in relation to the radar, but still different directions, meaning that you've got that spin is heading just through Butler. Butler, I think you're southwest of this. You may be in the clear now, but Spellacy, south of Loudonville right now. We're going to watch, what is that, the route like 224 corridor and south realistically is what we're watching for this storm right here. If we could jump over to reflectivity and get another little update on that and see where there it is, where that's pulling in all of that fuel. So that's where you're going to see the
You're
potential.
almost lining up your correlation coefficient as well.
Let's flip on over. Oh, yeah.
It's
Right
getting
over
close. Maybe not quite. There may be a
A
little
road.
debris in there. Maybe a little bit.
I mean, if we've got a confirmed tornado on the ground right there, now's the time. Don't wait for this. Even if you're in like Jellaway, Berger, or Greer, make sure you're still in your safe place. I mean, we've seen this thing kind of hooked towards the right. Now it's trying to develop a little bit farther, just straight east instead. So we're going to keep a very close eye on this as it rolls through. We've had several, or a couple now reports of one report rather in Ashland County, but several reports from law enforcement when this storm first started out. And that's why the tornado watch is in effect for the entire area. These storms are spinning, they're developing, and in their life cycle, their kind of phase where they are right here with this, they're rotating. They've got large hail with it, they've got strong winds, heavy ridiculously heavy rain, so localized flash flooding potential as well.
Yeah, look
But
at
that
the rain
storm
rate.
right there.
Severe from Medina until 3.
So up here, let's zoom up and see that.
Yeah, but
Zoom
there's
over
a-
that reflective.
That had a
image. We'll
hook
show you.
on
That
it.
did. We were watching
Tiny
that.
little spin there near Garden Isle still, but
Crawford Corners.
it's mainly 60
that.
mile
Yeah,
an
it's
hour
not-
straight line winds.
Yeah. Let's jump to reflectivity so we can see where the leading edge of that is. There you go. We're seeing this storm right there. Diving into it doesn't look that impressive. I'm going to be real. You've still got a little bit of that inflow. You've still got a little bit of that, but it looks like it's sort of
It is a mess.
gusting
Yeah.
itself out. It's
It
very
is a mess.
unorganized.
It's hard for me to even see the inflow, honestly. It became really sloppy.
Right? And that's what we're talking about. Why that storm to the south is getting so strong is it's unobstructed. This storm has so much stuff going out in front of it. Doylestown, Seville, Blake, Bonita, south of Medina. Yes, heavy rain, absolutely. Maybe some winds gusting to 40, 45, maybe 50. Probably going to see some hail in this, but this is not nearly as strong or as severe, meaning the damage potential is quite a bit lower than that storm well to the south.
Sure.
You're even starting to
Keep
look
an
at
eye
this.
on those storms
Look at
along
south
the
of Worcester.
shoreline because, believe it or not, that's where the biggest spin in the atmosphere is currently located.
Right along the
up in there.
shoreline?
So any storm that
Had some
moves into
gusty
there
winds.
is going to probably produce at least some nice little wind damage.
Yeah, over the lake there, almost 50. So far, we're just starting to see some of those stronger winds cross over Cleveland, moving onto the red side. Me and Trent were talking about this, green towards, red away. And as that now moves onto the eastern side of the radar set, you're going to see more reds. But then there's still that potential when you get rotation for it to see some green on that side, which is what we don't want to see, which is a scenario that we have
We don't
in
want
this purple
greenage.
box. No, and right now in this box, we don't want red.
That's right.
So that's what we're dealing with. But there,
Look at the warning confusion with that storm. So
That,
if you're
that
in
it
this-
is. It looks like an E.
If you're in
Oh,
this,
now they have it confirmed on both watch or warning boxes.
Wait, let me scan back one second.
This one right here,
Which one was
probably,
first?
if you're in
Okay.
Lucas or McKay, you're fine. If you're in Perrysville, tornado threat is 0 up here. These two right here, right along that's where we're looking, Katie, right in there where those green and reds meet.
Yep, and I mean they're not only on top of each other. We were talking about this. Those little boxes, each one of them show where there is some wind, and when they start to get closer to each other, they become brighter in their colors. So brighter reds, brighter greens. The closer they are together, the tighter the rotation, the more likely that it is that a tornado is on the ground. Additionally, beyond the fact that we're monitoring the rotation, we have so many awesome tools. There's hail in there. This is known as correlation coefficient. It basically likes to show us if there's some irregularity happening. So a lot of times it can be a tornado debris signature or debris getting lofted into the air. So we're not saying that that's for sure, but when you're seeing that irregularity, that's where you have the potential for debris getting lofted and a better indication of a tornado on the ground.
Just south of Loudonville, north of College Hill. If you've got friends, if you've got family in that area and you know you're out and about, it's summer, right? There's so much stuff going on. That is beautiful area. It's essentially, just near like Amish country, a lot of rural areas. There's tons of outdoor activity going on around there. So let them know. If you know you've got friends there, make sure you let them know that it is time to either seek shelter or make sure they're paying attention as this moves into the area. The latest little track on this, these lines you're seeing with this near Loudonville, this is off towards the northeast, rather. Can you put this in motion for the last 30 minutes just to see the last couple little scans? Because I want to make sure that it's not.
Let me zoom out a little.
It's still going. Ignore those. It's still going southeast. It's still going.
I can turn those off.
How about that Worcester hook up around Worcester?
That right there?
Blakelyville, that's new.
That's your inflow there. Now, it's a little obstructed, so it may not get as impressive as that storm to the south, but there's your Apple Creek, south of Worcester. Shreve in here. I mean, this is it's just gorgeous part of Ohio that this strong storm is rolling around in. There's no warning for it. There's no warning for it
yet.
No.
now. Not yet.
That looks
We're
more
gonna watch it closely.
outflow RFD dominant on that storm over Wayne County.
And we're always talking about what we're seeing on the radar. And again, maybe it's just because we're so used to looking at this, but to me, my eye goes right to it, not only because of the purple box, but because it just looks so different than everything else that you're seeing. Bright reds, bright greens on top of each other, and wind gusts.
That next scan.
Yeah,
That's
let me go back
That's
one.
pretty far away,
Yeah,
the radar.
ever so slightly maybe more diffused, but yeah, as you're mentioning that it's far away, but it's moving towards Spellacy.
Yeah, it's moving right along the line of the two warnings.
Yeah, confirmed. So spotters confirmed that there's a tornado on the ground. So that's Knox County moving out of our viewing area, Richland, and all the way up into the northern part of Richland. So it's really around Mansfield. Just to the south is where the tornado confirmed is at in this purple E that you're seeing. Let's look over.
Next would be Holmes. If they're going to continue the warnings, they'll issue for Holmes County.
Yeah, maybe the more southern part where we haven't seen much rain.
Yeah.
Killbuck, Becks Mills area like that.
It is pretty amazing how that squall line was raging about an hour ago coming in from the west, and now it seems the northern part of it is just kind of faded out. I think you
It's not
guys have
super
had a little bit of
impressive.
rain in the past few days.
Oh, yeah, a little bit.
Oh yeah, welcome back.
Yeah.
We're on
Welcome back,
vacation.
right?
I got off a plane a couple hours ago.
The storms are waiting for you.
Yeah.
This is what Mark was talking about. Let's jump over to reflectivity. We'll show them this line right here. That's
yeah.
that heavy rain right along the lake shore. That's, the
That's
potential.
kind of taken over there, yeah.
Yeah.
That squall line is now not a whole lot. Lorraine, Elyria, Brunswick, that was pretty strong about an hour ago.
Right?
Yeah,
Had
you-
winds of like 40 to 45, maybe up to 50. Now there's really not a lot. Again, it's heavy rain. Don't get me wrong. There's a ton of lightning with it. So it's definitely messing with your plans, but this right here is not why we're breaking into your programming right now. It's because of that potential tornado, or
This
not even
guy.
potential, it's confirmed tornado on the ground in southern Ashland County. Now it's right on the southern edge of the county right there. You can see it right in here. We'll watch it. Let's stick with it as we get into Holmes County. I mean,
Yeah.
there's no reason to jump out, even though it's just right on the brink of our viewing area. Once we get into Holmes County, we'll see this storm. It looks like it's trying to get kind of go through a little bit of a cycle, like a weakening sort of phase right now. So it's something to keep a close eye on. Could easily, because this has been so untouched and it is so far away from the radar, could easily try to redevelop or be redeveloping right now, kind of re-intensifying. But this is the line. As far as, did you turn the severe thunderstorm
No, I
warnings
was
off,
just
or did
looking
they all
at.
just
I don't
expire?
know what happened. If I go backwards, I did not turn them off.
For Medina.
There are severe thunderstorm warnings, but this was the scan ago. Something weird happened with the National Weather Service warnings that they all disappeared.
There's the new warning for Holmes.
Okay,
go.
so it continues.
Knew it was coming right there. Just near heading toward Killbuck, you're included in that. You've got a lot of rural areas across Holmes County right now included in that confirmed tornado warning. So a lot of times out here, you'll get radar indicated. We've got the radar, it's indicating rotation. Make sure you're safe. That's not what this is. This is a confirmed tornado on the ground just in southern Ashland County pushing into Holmes County. So if you're in Spalassy, if you're in Nashville, if you're in Glenmont, Greer, Fort Fizzle, Killbuck, any of these areas in the path of this, and I think this box is pretty much right on the track of where this storm is going. This one's right on through probably the middle of that, just south of this road that goes right through Nashville to Loudonville. That's going to be just south of that. Could be right where this storm goes, and the strongest part, the potential for that that tornado threat with it. Now's the time to do it. We've been watching this. We've been on the air for a couple hours now. We've been on Facebook for a couple hours now. We've been watching this roll through. If it's just now getting close to your county, then now's the time to get in the lowest level, away from windows, find a closet, find a bathroom, somewhere with either the smallest windows or the least number of windows, and get away from those. Put as many walls as you can between you and the storm outside, and just wait it out. Turn up the volume. Take your phone with you so you can watch us on Facebook. We're on right now, Facebook live streaming this whole coverage right now, so you don't even have to have your TVs on. If you do, just blast up the volume so you can hear us. If you're in Newville, you're clear. If you're in Loudonville, you're far enough north, I think. Your tornado threat might be minimal, but you're still close. I still want you to stay where you are. Perrysville, you're fine. Berger, you're fine. You're beyond it. Again, Lexington, Lucas, all the areas back behind it, Hastings, you're in the clear, but this storm is rolling right now. We're going to look for those brighter colors right there, just north of like Greer, heading toward Nashville, heading along and south of that main road between Loudonville and Nashville. So be extremely careful with that. That's the most, I guess, indicative part of that storm where we could see some of that rotation.
Yeah, everything else, as we were mentioning, this is an area that we're continuing to monitor. I don't know where the warnings are, but I do know that there were severe thunderstorm warnings issued before that I think with the rotation that we're starting to see.
There's that, yeah.
Millbrook, it's right on top of you, where there is another area of rotation that we are going to be monitoring as well. Let's see if Okay, so tornado warning canceled for Richland County. That's because it's basically moving out of that area into homes.
Yeah, we just kind of gave them the all clear for that, so that's good.
Yeah, but we want to keep watching. I want to try to investigate really quick why.
They just changed the tornado warning to unconfirmed now, moving into Holmes County.
Maybe it lifted then.
Maybe it lifted.
And
But as Trent
it'll do
mentioned a
that.
few minutes ago, this thing cycles. So it's like it's like a wave. It comes in and crashes, it gets bigger, it crashes on shore, and then it fades, gathers more energy, and then comes back at you.
So yeah, I don't think this is an us problem that the warnings aren't showing up. It's unfortunate that we're not, at least we have the tornado warning, because I just tried to put the watch on too and none of it's popping up. So they must be tinkering with some of the messaging at the National Weather Service.
Well, warning or not, let's zoom out, let's show you reflectivity, and we'll show you everything that we have with all of this. I think this line right here, there's not a whole lot of wind with it, but there's a lot of lightning and a lot of rain. Severe, you need damage. You need wind of almost 60 miles per hour, or you need hail of about 1 inch or more. We're not getting it with this Menor to like Mecca line with this. We're not getting it back in Elyria. So whether there's warnings or not, yes, these are still strong, very strong storms, but I don't think they're severe. I don't think they're damaging, but they're definitely impactful. Let's go into Wayne County, though, really quickly. If we could.
Sorry, we were just looking at that it's trying to get a hook too out to the west
There
there.
are more supercells forming to the west along that front, even though
There
we had
it
a
is.
wave of rain move through and
That's
try and
wild.
stabilize it.
They're all spinning. Look at that inflow, the outflow on the backside of it.
Ooh,
There it is, tightened up right there.
we're not done.
Not at all.
No, that's unfortunate that you would think that the atmosphere would be way overworked at this point, but that is not the case. You've got one near Fremont.
Look at all the lightning with
Yeah,
Fremont storm.
powerhouse, and it's going to move back into the area where we have a flash flood warning in effect because of all the heavy rain.
Yeah, and that rain's still there. That
Yeah.
water's still on those streets. It's still collecting.
What were you mentioning? I'm sorry, Worcester. Let me go.
Looking at Worcester again, really quickly. As far as that portion right there, that kind
That's
of
going to get sucked into the storm to the south.
right, correct. It's just getting we showed a little bit ago near Shreve. We had maybe a little bit of maybe a potential little rotation with it. I'm not too impressed or too focused on that just because this storm is so large, it's pushing south of that. It's going to essentially take all of its fuel. So it should weaken or rain itself out eventually. This right here, the radar beam is so far away from, or the radar is so far away from the site, we're looking, 30,000 feet up, 30,000 feet up into the sky. Probably not that much, probably 10,000 feet up in right here. So that's where we're seeing the rotation way up into the sky. Tornadoes are only in like the bottom 1,000 feet. So very, very high rotation with this, but that translates towards the surface. And that's why that warning is issued. Plus we've had confirmed sightings, confirmed reports of the tornado in southern Ashland County. So some things working to give us a little more information of what's going on with this. But that doesn't look quite as impressive as it did across southern Ashland County. But we're going to keep a very close eye on it. There's not a lot of reports, essentially. There's not a whole lot of people in Holmes County right there. So the reports come in a little bit slower, but we can see it on the radar and we know what we're looking at when that tries to develop right on through there.
Yeah, and I know that a lot of folks that are watching and maybe not particularly impacted by this confirmed tornado warning. Bottom line, we're watching other storms start to flare out to the west. We have rain, heavy rain. We have had tons of lightning. So even if you're not seeing severe storms, certainly impactful, but a lot of folks farther up to the north, thankfully not dealing with the severe potential as much. You get south of Medina County, that's where it starts to become more likely, and we're gonna have to monitor these storms out to the west. I just am still so perplexed why there is not, the severe thunderstorm warnings are not popping up, because that's very helpful when you're able to see which storms currently are warned. We know
I don't think any of them are strong enough, really, to be honest with you. I don't think there's
worth it even.
Yeah, there's not even really that much wind with them. The hail isn't as much as what it typically is. So
Yeah.
maybe there's some small hail with each one of these storms, but as far as severe hail, they need to be 1 inch or have reports or the potential, and they're really just not supported. I mean,
Yeah, it's such a weird
there's a lot of
storm
moisture.
organization happening, especially with what's happening out to the west. So you've got 1, 2, 3 storms, one near Fremont, one near Norwalk, and then this area here, New Washington. That's where we have potentially more development. Hail isn't super impressive, as you were mentioning, if we look at the winds too.
So if you widen out, there are severe thunderstorm warnings here. So those warnings were canceled.
Oh,
Yeah.
Good eye, Mark. Thank you.
Again, there's a criteria for all these warnings. Severe has a definition. There's a criteria for severe, meaning damage. You got to have winds over 58 miles per hour, so 60, or 1 inch golf ball, or quarter size hail. So 1 inch hail or 60 mile per hour winds. If you don't have that, you could have 1,000 strikes in each storm, but it doesn't matter. If it doesn't have hail or wind, it's not going to be a severe thunderstorm warning. It's still going to be impactful. That's what Katie's saying. We've still got heavy rain, still got some small hail. This right here, the reason we're still on your TV right now is because of the confirmed. This has had 2 different areas of confirmed tornadoes with this storm. One near Marion about 2 hours ago, and then one in southern Ashland County about 30 minutes ago. That's it right there. And as it crossed that county line from Ashland County into Wayne County, we're starting to see it broaden out just a little bit, which is good news as far as the rotation, but you're still seeing with that the lack of colors essentially right here. That's the storm still pulling in moisture, pulling in that inflow, and on the back side of it, you've got that rain-cooled air that's heavy, it's dense, and it's blowing around the back of that, so you're going to get some gusty winds, and with that, you potentially have the spin and the tornado. That's exactly what we're looking at. South of Loudonville, if you're in Loudonville, you probably just got through some massive hail. The hail and the tornado threat are not the same. They're different. Here's your hail threat. Here's your tornado threat. Miley Crossroads, Nashville. Nashville may be even close to that tornado threat. You're in the middle of that. But Miley Crossroads, you've got the hail threat. Paint Valley, Welcome. You're going to want to watch as this storm rolls through. You've got the potential. Glenmont, I want you to be in your safe spot. Greer, I want you to be in your safe spot. It may not even be raining where you are right now, but that just to your north, you've got that potential tornado, and we had earlier reports or indications of debris with this. So Kilbuck, Welcome, Glenmont, Fort Fizzle, Paint Valley, Millersburg even. I know you're still, if we could put a little timer on this, a little track, and try to track out some of these little areas here, just so we kind of know what we're looking at. Timing-wise, Millersburg, 3:36. It's 3:11 right now, so you've got about 25 minutes before it gets there. Kilbuck, very similar as well. You've got some time, maybe if you're already hearing thunder, it's time to go inside, make sure you're watching for updates as this develops. But if you're in anywhere west of there, like Nashville, north of Greer, I want you to be in your safe spot. I want you to just crank up the volume and listen to us.
I'm just going to put this in a loop for 30 minutes to just see that it's moving east, but it's moving south too. So it has a southeasterly progression. So I think Kilbuck is more likely than, what was the one up to the Millersburg, yeah. But it always has that slight little deviation where it kind of wobbles.
Yeah, they tend to do that. To the south, Danville, Warsaw. I think Warsaw, you're fine. I think Danville's fine. Again, that's way out of our viewing area. Warsaw's not. It's in Coshocton County, but this is pushing through Holmes County right now. And that right there, that's what we're looking. You see how you kind of get that little break in it? That little weak area where it looks like that's the inflow right there that we're going to keep very close eye on.
It looks like the rear flank downdraft is really trying to come in and push that.
Trying to wrap it up?
Yeah, trying to wrap it up.
Weak echo region, and it's bounded weak now?
What I would mean by that is right here. I'm not honing in on Trent's deal. Good job, buddy.
Get after it.
All right, you can see right here, this is a circulation, folks, right in here. So you've got inflow right there coming in. So it's feeding into what is probably a little spin right in here. And then around it, you have what's called a rear flank downdraft. As Trent explained, it's cold, denser air, and it's sinking down. And when you see the hook begin to elongate a little bit, like we're seeing right in here, it tends to favor a stronger rear flank downdraft. So this straight line wind here is trying to overtake and put out the spin in the middle. So it's trying to weaken the spin in the middle, and it transitions to a little straight line wind right here. But there still could be a very weak EF0 tornado right in this area here. And again, as things transition, sometimes the overall spin will slide down the RFD a little bit and take over again. So it's a battle between straight line winds back here and the actual spin right in here. So if you go to our correlation coefficient, we'll show you, there's a little bit of
That's super
discoloration there, but it was brighter a few scans ago.
Yeah, I can zoom out and roll it back a
indicating
little
little
bit.
bit. See, I mean, right in here is the inflow, and then you have what could be some debris right there, but that's kind of fading away. Again, you got dense air coming in around, and so we're trying to get a little straight line wind action here, sliding down. But still, there's a battle. So you can see right in this area, you've got your little couplets, you've got your little spin. It's still there. It's not as intense as it was, but you've got stronger winds back here trying to come in and, what do you call it, squelch it or extinguish the spin a little bit. It's at least try to weaken the spin. So,
Which is a good thing.
yeah, it is.
I want to see it.
It is, but those supercells up here, I mean, the atmosphere is obviously reinvigorating itself even behind that main squall line.
Very sheared.
Yeah,
I mean,
very sheared.
Each one of those storms is spinning. Look
See,
at New
this one right here is a little, it's a
little
supercell. I mean, it's right there. See
yeah.
it kind of curl around like a kidney bean?
Yeah, it looks better in
Right,
the
how about
reflectivity.
this one? It's got a little hook
Same
right
thing.
on that one, Clarksfield. Back here, you got a little kidney bean shape right there. And back here, you got
And
more.
there's
So
another
the front
one.
is coming through. And believe it or not, the energy for tornadoes is supposedly worst up in here. But so far, I mean, we've got we got a little squall line here, so that's not doing any tornadic spin. But to our south, there it is. We continue to watch our friends down just south of Nashville. Again, I'm thinking you're headed toward Killbuck. So if you're in Killbuck, lowest floor of your home, center hallway, closet, basement's good. If you don't have a basement, again, interior hallway or closet. Remember, this storm is coming at you generally out of the west. So you want to put as many walls between you and this storm as possible. So you could actually go to the east side of your home, if you're in a smaller home, east side of the house, all right? Put as many walls between you and that storm as possible, all right? Away from windows again. What do you got, Trent?
That line that you're looking at, those storms that are spinning, there is zero cap. It is a little science out here, 3,000 joules of cape all the way back
Wow.
to Indianapolis.
Oh my
corridor,
goodness.
So there is
line
nothing
there.
to stop these things from reforming back
That's
to the
that
west.
front. It's a
I'm
long
assuming the
back
frontal
front.
boundary is Lakeshore counties.
Yes, that's that front.
Somewhere
Just
right
to
in
the south.
here is the actual cold front, and then you got all the soup. You got all the energy. If we could go back to our reflectivity
Yeah.
real quick, thanks. We got a lot of soup in here. Again, look at this thing. Forming another hook. You got a little hook there. You've got a little hook there. So the energy in the environment, as you go up, from the ground up, the wind is changing direction. It's changing direction. So as the storm builds up through that, the storm clouds are automatically doing this. They're twisting, like you're throwing a pizza crust up. Remember? There you go. You throw that pizza crust up, and it spins and swirls.
I just want to check the velocity on that.
Yeah. You got a little
Little
turbulence here. That's more of a wider, broad circulation over Chippewa Lake.
Seville.
You got some stronger straight line winds up in Geauga, Lake County, headed in toward Ashtabula County. But
Yeah.
right now they look straight line.
Yeah, not an ounce of rotation here, which is, you could
Which
still
is
get
crazy because this is where you have the most.
Yeah, the enhanced risk for today over in our eastern community.
Just got a text from a friend in Lake County
Yep.
talking about how the tornado watch has sparked the restaurant to bring everybody into the basement. We got to be clear about what the difference is between a watch and a
Yeah.
warning.
Oh.
We got to be very
Watch and
clear.
warning. Okay, a watch is the ingredients are all on the table. You're making the pizza. You got the dough here, you got the pepperoni here, you got the cheese here, you got the sauce in a bowl. You're ready to make it. The ingredients are there, but it's not a pizza yet. All right. Oh, okay, we're doing the tacos.
I'm missing an image though.
Oh, that's all right. So again, a warning means that the taco is made, it's built, it's ready, it's there. Okay, it's eating things. You're not eating it, it's eating you. So a warning means it's there. A watch means the conditions are right for a tornado or a severe thunderstorm to form. So please, if people are rushing you out of a restaurant down into a basement, in Lake County, there is some heavy rain, but there are no severe thunderstorm warnings in Lake County. It's good that they're off the patio, but
Right.
probably
Yeah.
don't need to be in the basement.
Now, if you're in Holmes County, if you're in
Yep,
Millersburg,
there you
different
go.
story.
There's your
Different story.
pizza. There's your taco. All right, and this thing, again, look at this.
The amount of lightning, just can't see. It's
See, it's
strengthening.
wrapping up again. It is.
The gate-to-gate shear, County Road 50 is where it's right over right now between Glenmont and Nashville, moving
Right.
toward Killbuck. Fort Fizzle's nearby.
Going to take it right about into here, although it may dive a little south. Killbuck, I think you really need to be in your safe space. Glenmont, too. Glenmont, too. Fort
Yeah.
Fizzle, stay on high alert.
I like that name, but you're right in the path and in that tornado warning.
Let's see what our hook is doing. Here's our spin. Let's go to our, see, it's remember? The rear flank downdraft was trying to overtake the spin, but the inflow got stronger and it pushed the rear flank back.
So much fuel.
Yeah, because so now we're getting a re-intensification of our hook and of our central spin. Do you see that, how that changed on the radar? Of course, here's large hail. So you got a multifaceted severe thunderstorm here. You got some large hail here. You got torrential rainfall here. And of course, you have your spin right in there. All right. This, maybe a little hail up toward Worcester. That storm was interrupted by this one. This storm wanted to produce something bad, but this storm got in its way because the fuel is coming in from the south. So this storm is kind of stealing most of it. And these other storms back to the west, there's no storms down here to steal. All right, there's none. So these could easily produce some severe weather in the next hour or two.
More warnings to come, that's for sure. That's for
warnings.
sure. Man, that storm is still so rapidly rotating in Holmes County. I know it's far away from our radar site, but I mean the reflectivity shows a clear rotation with that. I mean,
Now, Katie, I'd be curious to see if we're going to begin to see any more like debris signatures here.
Oh, but it does look like it's picking
So
up.
the spin was pretty close. We want to see this kind of discoloration. The spin is right here. So if you see the discoloration on the correlation coefficient right under my hand, it's kind of to the south right now.
Just ever so slightly.
It's kind of to the south, so it's really not there. So right now it does not look like there would be any major debris. There's Trent in his Crocs, man.
I lost a gibbet.
You lost a what?
Gibbet. Continue.
I don't know what that means, my friend.
It's fine.
There's Glenmont right now. If there is a tornado, it is right where you are. So at Glenmont, you're in your safe spot. Take cover immediately. Tornado warning in effect for you. Sliding south and east toward Killbuck. Welcome. You're in the path too. All right. So you got all these little roads. These little roads. County Road 51. It obviously has a different name in these little communities, but you know where you live.
A lot of those roads don't have names. They're gravel. They're hilly. I spent a lot of time riding the motorcycle through those gravel, unmaintained roads.
Yeah, that wasn't very wise, my friend.
Well, no, that's where, I mean, it's beautiful. It's absolutely gorgeous.
Riding the
area,
motorcycle.
so.
Here it is. Look at that. I mean, it's intensified again. These two little pixels right here, the red and the green. What's our gate-to-gate shear?
So I picked them up before. It's close to 70. So we have 46 here and 30 there.
Okay, so you're almost at 80. So again, that could easily be EF1 if it is trying to drop. All right. County Road 51, Glenmont, and we are in Holmes County right now where there is a tornado warning in effect, and it's headed toward Glenmont. About 30 miles per hour, I believe, 30 to 35. I don't think it's picked up a whole lot of speed.
No, it's been tracking basically the same. The National Weather Service continues to say east, but we've been monitoring that it is more of a southeast.
South of east. So it's going to go
Yeah.
this way, right in there, somewhere in
About
there.
there, yeah.
Millersburg, just stay alert, Millersburg. I really do. Millersburg, I want you in your safe spot. I really do.
Still massive hail. Lots of lightning.
Ton of
It's
hail.
Still a serious storm.
Ton of hail. So there's a multifaceted severe weather event ongoing. Let's click our regular reflectivity again, please, Katie. There it is. See, you're trying to get your rear flank downdraft to come in and dominate, but then you get an burst of inflow energy that says, we're pushing you back. It's like a wrestling match. So we still have our classic little hook echo here. Whenever you see your hook echo kind of elongate into a straight line and then begin to bow in, that tells you that you've got stronger winds here than here, but it pushed it back. So now we have a pretty well-defined hook right there moving into Glenmont and into Killbuck. And then back here, Apple Creek. This is still a supercell. This is still a supercell. It still probably has a lowering right in here over Apple Creek. It's got a lot of lightning. It is certainly going to produce some pretty good wind gusts coming in. You can see it's a broad spin.
Yeah, it's trying, but not much.
Broad spin. But this one, I think, is going to keep this one from doing anything. Let's keep an eye on what's north. I don't like those supercells at all.
Got one over here.
You've got a little one here. Again, it's a broad circulation over Medina County, moving in towards Summit County.
Yeah, rotation's not great
My son
on
lives
these.
right there.
Oh,
So hopefully he's watching. I texted him earlier, said, Mike, Angie, get in house. All right, so here we have, what's this one here?
so that is not super impressive. I can switch over, but the reflectivity does show that it's trying.
It's this. How about that one?
Let's flip over.
There's the one over Granger. All of these are spinning. It's trending. And Katie, I've been telling you, when you see these irregular shapes on them, they look like kidney beans and they're elongated. Those are all called supercells. And those are the ones that have the best chance of producing tornadic circulation or damage. There's our tornado warned storm now, moving into southern Holmes County. We've got some gusty winds here, closer to 40 miles per hour. I did see a 45-mile-an-hour pixel, but these are straight line winds. No warnings on these storms. You're still getting a lot of heavy rain. Paynesville to Hamden, and that line is moving into southern Ashtabula County. It's moving in toward Rock Creek, roaming shores. Hopefully everybody's off their boats and indoors in roaming shores, off the pontoons. Park the pontoon, all right? There's Akron. There's Medina. You've got a little hook there. Non-severe. Here's our tornado warned storm continuing through Holmes County.
I don't like
Oh,
that storm
this
right
one.
there, right
Ooh.
there near
See,
Wadsworth.
again, this wants to spin. Look at that hook.
We all saw it at the
Right
same
there.
time.
Pushing into Akron.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
along
so Summit
76.
County.
No
Summit
warning.
County, there's no warning on it yet. So
No.
if we go to our shear rate, let's see how much the spin has increased in the last 5 minutes. If we go back a scan, this thing has been spinning.
Yeah,
And the spin has intensified right up into here. So that one really bears watching.
Truthfully, you're seeing it more so than velocity. You're seeing it on reflectivity when you get the kidney bean shape, comma.
Yeah, look at that. I mean, that's got the little ball on the end too. There's most likely a wall cloud right here. So if you are in Blake, Bonetta, in Medina County, and again, my son lives right about there, so that went right over his house. Copley, Loyal Oak, eventually in toward Akron. I think this one's going to slide a little farther north than east, the way it looked. It's going to travel this way toward Copley. All right, so something to keep an eye on. There's the circulation. Now, Katie McGraw had an EF1 or an EF2 a couple of Octobers ago that looked like this.
Yeah, it's true. A very similar situation where you're seeing a lot.
there.
It's not just one storm that's rotating, it's a
Right.
couple. And they fluctuate with being strong to kind of weakening. And the National Weather Service, for what it's worth, Mark, is noting also the fact that we're not done with what we're seeing out to the west.
Okay.
We have an open chat with the National Weather Service on they've got their own Slack channel now that we're in with that, and they're saying essentially the same things that we've been indicating.
Hook.
Several hooks. There's no cap. Things are they're destabilizing as we go. So we're not the only ones saying what we're saying. Even though there are no warnings, there's the front. That right there is that front stretching back to like.
And
Fort
until
Wayne.
that gets through,
spinning.
severe weather threat and spinning.
I have a lot of colors or a lot of lines here, but there's the front, and through the four things that I've circled is where we have little hooks, little rotation.
Now, my concern
Oh,
is,
there's another one.
here we go.
Down there.
Oh my, let's go into those two.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, we got three. 1, 2, 3. This one is the little engine that could.
It is. It's
This
always
one
trying.
you think was going to be absorbed into this one, and it just keeps on trying to spin up a weak tornado.
Rotation's
Just
kind
keeps
of
trying.
trash, though. There's not much there. And even, I'm glad, actually, as the tornado warning that we have moving toward Killbuck, I would say, let me scan back just a couple. It looks like the rotation has come down. It's not as bright.
Yeah.
It's not as tight.
They did change the polygon to suspected rather than confirmed.
Oh, you
it
see that little
appears
area with
that
the
they're
pink.
not having reports that there is an actual tornado on the ground. So we have this one. We have one up in here. They're all hooks with potential spin on them. This is the one that has produced confirmed tornadoes. When does this warning expire?
345.
There you go, 345, and we're 328. Go
I
ahead,
asked
Trent.
the National Weather Service if they're getting any reports of any lowering wall clouds, anything with any of these rotating supercells, the unwarned supercells, and yes, they've got several tweet several pictures, from Twitter or
Of wall
X,
cloud.
whatever it's called now.
So each
wall
one of
cloud.
these is producing a lowering of this area of the thunderstorm cloud right where the spin is, here, and of course here. And a wall cloud is the first sign you've got serious spin beginning to tighten and reach toward the ground. It's like the drain in your bathtub when you let the water out, and then it gradually starts to spin and spin and spin and gets tighter and tighter. That cloud is going to lower toward the ground. So you've got 1, 2, and 3 right here. No tornado warnings on these two, but you got to watch those.
Mark,
Here's
this
our
is what
tornado
you were
warning.
talking
Yeah.
about with that rear flank downdraft, the back side of it. Look at that portion just near like Maysville. You see how broad that is?
Yeah.
Exactly what you were talking about earlier.
Yeah, and it's still getting some inflow right up in here. So the actual fuel for this thunderstorm is still trying to sneak in between, right up into here. And you can see we actually have a little flanking line, meaning there are some cumulus clouds that have developed showers that come. So the spin is right there. That's where it is. So you got a little flanking line here that's forming some showers along it. There's one spin. You've got the tornado warn spin, which is now apparently not on the ground anymore. Glenmont, still Killbuck. Don't let your guard down. You got to stay in the basement for another 15, 20 minutes. All right? But keep an eye. Medina County and even the one farther north, Millersburg, you get heavy rain and hail in Millersburg. Look at this one here. That's most likely a wall cloud here. A lowering of the cloud base right in there, and that is moving out of Medina County, and that's going to move right toward Copley Fairlawn. And remember, if you're going to take photos and tweet them at Mark J. Weather, at Trent M. Weather, at Katie McGraw X.
Yep.
Okay? Do it safely. Do it safely. Please don't risk anything by taking shots. But again, this is most likely a very lower portion of the cloud that you can actually see spinning. Remember, there's a lot of cloud lowerings that we have in nature and in thunderstorms. I saw some on vacation. There were some ominous looking lowerings of clouds. But one key here is it rotating? Is it spinning like this? Even gradually. Is it doing this gradually? That's the difference.
Broad.
Right there. Yeah, it is broad. It's not tight. It's not too tight. But still, you can't ignore those. We've seen those produce. You have zeros. You got this one here that's kind of fading out, and then you have this one here that's staying strong.
Sorry, there you go.
Staying strong right here. There's a little hook there. You've got other storms back here. And again, here's your front. And if there is a lake breeze, if there is any kind of boundary that's east to west, that could, as the front coming in from the northwest actually meets up with that east to west, like lake breeze boundary, that could actually increase the spin in any storm that touches that. So this one we'll watch very carefully. This one is interesting. And of
Which
course,
one, I'm
look at
sorry?
all the lightning. You could tell when a storm is intensifying or staying strong by the amount of lightning. And this is our tornado warned storm. And how long has this thing been spinning, Trent, Katie?
Gosh, hours at this point.
Hours.
It was all the way in Kenton when it started. We could roll it back probably over 3 hours now.
And this, look at how much lightning you have. It has not given up.
Yeah, oh my gosh, on the button, 12:32 is where we had a tornado warning. And then let's see where it's first issued. I might have to go back even a little bit farther. We'll go back 6 hours to see when it was first issued. Yeah, right around 2:32. So it's almost been 3 hours on the button that this storm has been rotating. It briefly lifted right here around 2 p.m., back down. That's when we had the tornado warning, then it became confirmed.
If you can pull up the Akron camera, we've got a shot
Sure.
of that storm pushing Akron.
Can we show
you can see the lowering of it?
Let's see.
I do have it.
Pull
Hold on,
that
let me
up.
grab
We're
it.
going to pull that up here on Weather 1. Again, a watch means conditions are right. The ingredients to make a taco are on your counter. A warning means that the taco is made and it's ready to eat. All right, so the difference between a watch and a warning.
Right
What have we
there
got? A little
behind
shelf
that
right
lower.
here.
Oh, yeah.
A little bit of a shelf. And what's back here? I'm assuming we are.
I can't go farther. We're at the limit for the camera.
Yeah, we're probably looking west, correct?
We're looking west,
Okay,
northwest.
so here's west. So here's our spinning thunderstorm. Here's the leading edge of it, getting some rain ahead of it. So this is what Trent and Katie have been chatting about for the last 3 hours, this kind of lowering here, right in there. So that's something to keep a very close eye on as it gets closer to Akron. Okay,
Flip back
again, we'll
over.
continue our coverage. We've got Katie McGraw, Trent McGill, who have done fantastic at keeping you informed for the last 3 hours. Here's your tornado warned storm.
So that's actually a new
tornado warning
one.
was just extended, right?
Yep. To Holmes County it continues, but it's a new warning that goes till 4:15. So we're talking another 45 minutes.
Okay, so they extended that warning, and then if it keeps on spinning, it goes into the Dover, New Philly area. Got a lot of lightning here. Let's show you the actual reflectivity, if we could. So there's still our hook. There's hook number 1. There's hook number 2, which is starting.
Now it got a warning.
There's a
Summit.
severe thunderstorm warning on the storm that we just showed you on.
Been watching it.
Yeah. That's not, is it tornado possible?
It's not. It's winds of 60, hail less than an inch.
Okay, so 60-mile-an-hour wind gust, obviously right around this area here, from some sort of
Moving east at 30.
east
we
at
can track
30.
That
So
out.
that's coming into Akron, coming into Cuyahoga Falls, but also we've been telling you it has a little hook echo on it. So any one of these thunderstorms today, based on the environment we're in today, could produce a spin close to the ground and maybe prompt a tornado warning. So here we have it. Copley at 3:39, Akron at 3:52, Cuyahoga Falls 3:56, Talmadge 3:59. At 4 in Sawyerwood and Silver Lake, we got Lakemore, friends there, 4:01, same for Monroe Falls, and Stowe also at 4:01. Lots of friendly folks there, and that's the heart of Summit County, the heart of the population of Summit County, right around the Akron and Cuyahoga Falls area, Talmadge area there.
I just want to say this real quick because I see it in the National Weather Service chat that somebody mentioned. Michael Hammond mentioned major rain and cloud to ground lightning at the fairgrounds in Holmes County. If you know somebody that's at the fair right now,
Oh my gosh,
they need to
out.
get to a safe spot immediately.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. If they have a strong brick building, that's where you go.
The dirt drag races are tonight, this evening and tonight at the Holmes County Fair.
Okay.
Probably aren't going to happen.
I doubt it. It'll be
It's a
the
mud
mud
race.
drag racing.
It's a mud race.
We could look at the
the
3-hour
mud
rainfall
race.
there.
Yeah, look at that. You're getting over an inch.
Yeah, this is probably about,
Getting over
just about an inch and a half.
1.3.
But when I saw that, my heart kind of dropped. I know that we have fairs all over,
Yeah, so we have the Holmes County Fair in progress right now, and I'm sure that they've sounded the alarm a long time ago because they have, that's what emergency managers do, especially during times like this. Their job is to monitor the outdoor community events and to let them know quickly. So I'm very confident that our friends in Holmes County are in safe spots, but here's your spin. Still spinning.
On the bright side, Richland County Fair
Yeah,
going on now is fine.
Yeah.
Probably
yeah,
back
Richland
open.
County Fair, you can
Richland, Holmes, Ashtabula, Erie, and Cuyahoga counties.
so many
Yeah,
fairs.
Ashtabula is probably, you're chased in due to the rain showers that are up there,
know what?
non-severe.
Tomorrow's the day to go to the fair.
Yeah.
When we're much quieter.
Monday. So let's look at our reflectivity again real quick, if we could, please, Katie. So you got your one little hook there. You got a little tiny hook over Oberlin. This little teeny storm here. This one has not lost steam. We'll see what that one does. You got others developing off to the west along the front, which will slide probably into our southern portions of our viewing area because this front is going to make southerly progress over the next few
Travel
hours.
the line.
You got a lot of heavy rain here, non-severe wind gusts to 40 miles per hour throughout Ashtabula, Lake, Geauga, Trumbull, even Cuyahoga, right over the greater Cleveland.
Yeah, you can hear it pouring
Yeah.
in downtown Cleveland. Thankfully, there's not severe thunderstorm warnings for Cuyahoga, Lake, Ashtabula, even down into Trumbull, but we do
A
have
lot of rain.
Yeah, it's a lot of rain. I mean, the flooding, on top of the fact that we have this rotation, the flooding is a huge issue, especially in this area. This is where we have a flash flood warning issued right now. There's more rain falling. That area has just been inundated with heavy rain over the last 24 hours. The radar estimates that I was showing on Good Morning Cleveland today in northern Erie County, including the city of Huron, around 5 inches of rain fell yesterday because
5.
yeah, it just kind of parked itself, and now you're seeing something known as training, which essentially means repeated rounds of heavy rain, and that's where we're seeing the flash flood warning in effect right now. There's still the tornado warning in effect for Holmes County and the severe thunderstorm warning for Summit. and there's several areas that are trying to rotate here because of the fact a lot of times what we typically see in Northeast Ohio is one squall line. You get little notches inside of it where it's trying to rotate. This is more what you typically see in the South, where you're getting a lot more of separate storms. They're known as supercells, and we're not even done yet. A lot of times when you'll get thunderstorms, you overwork the atmosphere, it drops that chance for severe storms, but we're starting to see more development.
The Pittsburgh National Weather Service has got in on the act now. They've issued a tornado warning for Tuscarawas County to coincide. Trent, you got something to show everybody.
Yeah,
it's on your phone, folks. Bear with them. Bring it on up.
I don't know if this will work or not. So
It
this
will.
is
I've done it.
I
our
wanna see.
overnight. It's kind of tough to see. Our overnight photojournalist Mike Haber tweeted that he's in, or he just texted it to me. He's in Wadsworth. And just said the rotation, the spin, the everything
Ooh.
with that storm looks
Wow.
very tornadic. So that's that warning we were talking about, that severe thunderstorm warned area.
That's this one here.
That's that storm right there.
Yeah, go ahead.
So that's what we're talking about there. With that storm, before there was a warning on it, we were watching this kind of rotate as it's rolling right toward Akron and just north of Akron. You're seeing that inflow there, the outflow on the backside of it. It's not a very tight, and from our live shot we were looking at, it doesn't look like it's very tight. It's a very broad spin, but with that, still indicates some massive rotation and strengthening with that storm as it's pulling in all that warm, super primed air for it. Again, that's the severe thunderstorm warning, not for a tornado. There's still that potential. We're watching it. Warning or not, we're still watching it very closely. It's for wind, straight line wind potential. Here's the tornado warning that just got issued from the Pittsburgh National Weather Service office. That includes Tuscarawas County and Coshocton County, the rest of Holmes County as well. That's for that tornadic, and it has been confirmed twice now. Marion confirmed by law enforcement, and then one in southern Ashland County, another confirmed tornado on the ground. So as this rolls through, Sugar Creek at 4:08, Walnut Creek at 4:01, which is in about 20 minutes. A lot can happen with these tornadic supercells over 20 minutes. So we're going to watch it. But there's your inflow, there's your outflow, and there's your rotation just north of Kilbuck, south of Millersburg, rolling right through Holmes County. Heading into, which is included in the warning now, south of Strasburg, near New Philly, parts of Tuscarawas County. Not looking as clear
no.
now. You're seeing a couple different little kind of interference areas right there. So that's where you're looking at right there, Kilbuck. There's that rotation right there.
Yeah, and it's so hard because it's right on the edge of the Cleveland radar and right on the edge of the Pittsburgh radar.
I can flip over to...
Once it gets into Tuscarawas County, technically the Pittsburgh radar is closer. But so you're right on that edge. So we're shooting up, what, about 9,000 feet probably?
Yeah, probably.
You're in the mid levels of it. So what's happening on the ground could be a lot more intense than what we're seeing on the radar.
Ground truth reports from spotters comes into play, and that's what that we just got from Wadsworth, essentially, with that storm that just rolled right on through there. So as we watch that roll through, can we jump back to the Akron webcam and or Skycam and see what that actually looks like right now? Because that's probably just making its way into the middle of that screen.
Oh.
There's a little bit of scud from that, but there's your little bit of a lowering kind of. It's not as impressive as it was looking earlier, but it's pretty clear. I mean, you can see with the breaks in the rain, you can see pretty clear with that.
It looks ominous.
It does.
And if we were to watch this, excuse me, essentially what you have is you have that anvil top rolling over the top of the camera here, and this is just pulling up some of that moisture right there. It's essentially, sometimes that can be confused as a lowering.
Yeah, and that's part of the inflow. That's part of the inflow going in there.
Yeah.
That's rising air feeding into that hook.
So that's still strengthening. We'll watch this back here. This may just be scud also,
Yeah,
but
it's
got a flat bottom on it, so it's something that definitely needs to be watched.
So, Katie, let's go back to reflectivity if we could.
Okay.
I want to explain a few things here.
You know, I want to tell you that there is a new warning out in Ashland. Let's see, we've got Ashland, Huron, and Richland
Okay,
counties
this one
getting
right
a new
here.
warning. Yep.
For that severe thunderstorm until 4:30 against some large hail, and I'm assuming 60 mile an hour.
60 and 1-inch hail.
1-inch hail, 60 mile an hour winds here. Let's zoom on in real quick here. I
Sure.
want to make a little point here. Now, we have a lot of different products that we use, okay? So this is where our spin is, right in here. We have products that can help us decide whether we have a tornado on the ground or not. Now, this far away, it's pretty tough. So if we were going to circle where we think our possible tornado is, we're going to circle right in here. Now we're going to go to our shear rate and see if we've got, yeah, right in here. Okay, right about in here between Millersburg and Kilbuck. Now let's go to our correlation coefficient. Correlation coefficient is how we tell you where there's debris in the air. If there is a tornado on the ground, it's chewing up trees, it's chewing up roofs and sidings, and it's lofting them. And the radar sees those as super huge raindrops. It'll turn them, if it's a real big tornado, it'll turn them blue, and you'll have this little blue circle. You can sometimes get this kind of discoloration here. This is not debris. This is not debris. Why? Because it's not located right underneath the spin. The spin is here, and you notice we went to our correlation coefficient, and we saw the brighter colors here. That's not debris, all right? Debris would be right within the circle. This color would be right here, all right? So, again, it looks like our tornado has lifted off the ground. We had confirmed tornadoes, and of course our tornado warning confirms that it's not on the ground.
Yeah, the purple versus the pink.
This was a confirmed tornado back here. You see the purple? This is pink, meaning, okay, it's lifted, then we're not seeing one, we're not getting reports of one, but there's still that pretty good spin in the atmosphere. Let's go back to our severe thunderstorm warning right here.
Sure.
Let's see. It's got a little bit of a broad
there.
spin there.
Yeah, right in there.
Yeah, right in here. Look at that. Let's go to reflectivity and see what we see. Right in there. Oof. Boy, oh boy, look at that thing. That is just trying. So where's our hook? Probably right somewhere in here. There's probably another lowering trying to get going. Another little wall cloud trying to drop down. Large hail there. Here's our other severe thunderstorm warning, also with a little appendage on it, right in that area there. It's kind of weak.
Not great rotation.
No, the rotation here is very, very broad. I'm not concerned about a tornado in this one. Still, severe weather moving into Cuyahoga Falls now and Akron. A lot of rain here, farther to the north, non-severe, probably wind gusts 30 miles per hour, potentially. And there's a lot more rain falling down. You folks have had so much rain in the last several days, and now all this additional water that's going to fall is just going to run right off and produce some potential, at least flash flooding. So one warning here, one warning here. This is Summit County. The Medina County portion of the warning has been called off. We've got, this is Ashland County, or Richland and Ashland counties here. The storm itself.
And like a teeny tiny section of Huron, but.
Is in Ashland, right. And again, you got to watch that little hook right there. These other storms are kind of joining arms and producing more of a straight line, merry band of thunderstorms. So these, again, are joining together, and they're probably going to produce a squall line, which would probably save us from tornadoes, but still there could be some straight line winds. These here, though, they're not joined yet. They're not joined yet. I would expect this line to kind of fill in over the next little while.
For folks that have been listening to us for a while, when we first got the first tornado warning, Ashland no longer included in the tornado warning. Same thing with Richland. And now our most northern and western section of Holmes County not included, but the southeastern and in now to Tuscarawas County, including New Philly, are now in a new issued tornado warning until 4 p.m.
And that little storm that could it's really getting interrupted by this one here. So we had a hook there. You can still see a tiny little notch, but it is basically washing out because this storm's stealing all the energy from it. What do you see, Trent?
Look at that Akron camera. I want to show you just the inflow.
Oh,
hello.
Look at that pulling in there. Now that's not rotating.
Yeah, it's not rotating. In fact,
it's scary though for folks looking at that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that is definitely inflow, rising air right there. If we were out there, it's probably not a shelf, although I'd need to see a wider picture of it. The shelf's probably here. That is impressive. You see that coming at you in a tornado watch, and you're probably bringing the kids inside. I would.
Absolutely.
That's
yeah.
pretty smart. Okay. So that is moving over Summit County right now. That is looking, is that still looking west? Is that
west
looking,
is back this direction.
Ooh, there's west.
So it's a little bit farther, essentially north of town. So if you were to sync that up with the radar, That's what's pushing through like Cuyahoga Falls right now. That's just north.
This is not a tornado. It's definitely a little lowering. As Trent mentioned, there's a lot of inflow here that's going upwards and producing this condensation. We're not there.
And that's almost pushing out of the warned polygon.
Yeah. And that's, that would be, so that's moving right into Akron right now. Cuyahoga Falls is getting a lot of heavy rain. That's what you look for in a storm structure, and you watch this thing. So what would tell me this is a funnel cloud? I want to see it spinning. I mean, you can have a funnel cloud like this, but you want to see that thing spinning around and around, and as Trent mentioned, we really don't see that. So this is a lowering, could be a wall cloud, could be some inflow that's really, look at that. Boy, that's angry. That's angry. This is definitely the shelf here. These are the fingers of God right here on the southern, right on the edge of the shelf. That's what we call them, folks. It's coming at you, and it looks like something reaching down, ready to grab you right there.
Textbook. Reminds me of my chasing days.
Yeah.
Back in the
So
plane.
there is your shelf cloud. You're right underneath the shelf out here. And this could definitely be a wall cloud.
Could definitely be a wall cloud.
Yeah, I mean, it could be slowly rotating. In fact,
It kind of looks like
It
it.
kind of
see the
looks like it
backside.
is. And we're starting to get some scud that's reaching up toward it and moving in. And that's a classic sign that it's being pulled in.
Look how
here,
fast. Look how
Yeah.
fast it's moving.
that's definitely a wall cloud.
Yeah.
Look at it. Now that it's coming out from behind the building, you can see the lowering on this side and the lowering on this side and the shelf cloud out ahead of it. So that's an ominous sign. And if there were going to be something that dropped, it'd be right in here.
Look at it wrapping up on radar also. I'm going to jump over
Is it
to
wrapping?
analysis. You can see
Yeah, look at this. Oh, wait a minute. That's the tornado warning storm there,
it just reissued the warning for the areas.
right there.
That's what
oh,
we're-
that's it.
We're
Look at,
watching it
that's the wall
wrap up
cloud.
right
That's what we're seeing on, you can actually see it curving around in, pinwheeling like a cinnamon roll. There's your wall cloud right there. So that is ominous. There's no tornado warning on this storm. There is a severe thunderstorm warning on this storm, and there's
Yeah.
your wall cloud right here. There's your shelf cloud
I'm just going to stick with this.
out ahead. You have to. Let's stay with it. If there's going to be something that pops out of this.
Yeah, they
Katie
re-
is keeping a close eye on the storms that are south in Holmes County on the radar. Look at that. And again, you see these things change in ebb and flow. And if we put this into a fast motion, you might even be able to really see this. And wall clouds fade and drop and raise and fade, but that's definitely a lowering right there. Definitely a lowering. And if there is going to be some sort of funnel, I would imagine, Trent, somewhere in here, somewhere in there, if we're going to see anything. Wow. That's a severe thunderstorm, folks. That's what it looks like. That's ground truth, we call it. And we use your eyes and ears most of the time to show us pics on Twitter safely, of course. Facebook, Instagram, you show us these kind of pics, and when we can see them on our own cameras, it really helps us.
These kind of
identify
clouds are
what's
what made
going
me
on.
become a meteorologist because they scared the bejesus out of me when
Yeah.
I was little.
Yeah, that's an ominous severe thunderstorm with a lowering of the cloud base right here. We have a hook on the radar. And if there is going to be a funnel that drops, it would be somewhere in here.
And
a
syncing
lot
that
of
up-
turbulence.
syncing that
It's
up
an
with your
angry
radar.
sky.
Look how fast it's moving.
It is moving very quickly. So there, ooh, it's moved over here now. So there it is. This is,
We're watching essentially the camera straight moving, watching those clouds move that direction. What we can't see on the backside is potentially the opposite motion.
Right.
With that wall cloud.
right there. So here's what we're seeing out ahead of it, kind of this kind of a shelf structure here. Akron is here, and we're seeing that lowering of the cloud base right in here, live on TV. Pretty impressive.
Let's go back to it.
Pretty impressive. There it is. Right in here. That's just angry. Super angry.
Now we're going to get a little rain on the lens here, so it's not going to be as clear eventually, but
Severe thunderstorm warning in effect until 4:45 for Summit County, I believe, Katie?
Yeah, let me go back real quick to analysis to get, because it was extended.
Okay.
So it goes pretty far out, 4:30, and it goes into Portage County.
Portage County till 4:30, until Portage and Summit County. Actually, Trent, I almost think we're seeing this too on that live pic, this little section of intense rain over Talmadge, and then it comes back over North Akron. So we're looking north and east, and wow, we're almost seeing, it's almost like starting to become a roll cloud. Look at that sky, though, folks. You want to be indoors for this, all right? This is a severe thunderstorm warning for this storm, but these storms all have a spin on them. They all have a little hook. This one has kind of faded a little bit. Look at the lightning show. So you've got torrential heavy rainfall that I can see on our traffic cams are just slowing things to a crawl on many of our major highways. 7.3 inch per hour rainfall rates. It's not, doesn't mean you got 7.3 inches already or that you're going to get it, because this is going to move through. But that is an intense amount of rain falling down on you. So traffic, folks are stalling out, stopping. They're pulling over to the side of the road right now. Cuyahoga Falls here. Here's Akron. We've been showing you our Akron cam. There's the hook. There's the hook sliding in. It's beginning to lose some of its character, but we showed you the video or the live pictures of that hook. Look at that. That's just...
Mark, do you think that, or maybe you were looking, Trent, at the meso analysis. Oh, yeah, that's looking more
shelfy.
Yeah, it's got a shelf to it.
Yeah, it's looking more shelfy. So we're seeing, wow. Look at that. There's heavy rain back in here. There's probably some really gusty winds, and we're getting another little shelf cloud, a little wedge right here. Looks like a shelf in your living room.
Check the winds.
Okay. There is a broad circulation. This is interesting.
I think that must be an irregularity, but let's circle it and see.
That could be some bad data. We're just going to check it out.
Yeah, it's bad data.
It's bad data. Now, there still is something here. It's trying to connect. But our actual reflectivity center is kind of over here, the max reflectivity. So that, hey, there's a lot going on. All of these storms are spinning. Look at this one. This is not going to produce a tornado, but it's got a little hook on it. Just a little one. These storms up here, you got heavy rain in Pepper Pike, non-severe, you got wind gusts, you got torrential downpours here, a ton of lightning, Lyndhurst, Euclid, Pepper Pike, Kirtland, Mentor, Westlake. Look, they're lining up now because here's the cold front that's coming in, it's dropping in. So all these storms are lining up along that front, and they're going to sweep on through here. Hopefully they're in and out by, 6 or 7?
Yeah, it's just, my concern is that this nonsense back here that's trying to reflare. Because with these storms, it's been raining in this area as it moves toward Trumbull County. It's been raining there for a while. So you would think that the air would have been worked over, but I would have thought that same thing back here where we're getting warned storms too. So these are just really powerful storms. We had a lot of ingredients to work with.
Dynamics.
Yeah, everything was set up well.
Let's check in on our tornado warned storm real quick. We haven't done anything with that.
What'd you say? I'm so sorry. I was listening to Trent.
Looking at the mesoanalysis, SPC's got essentially a website full of just different things to look at. There's no cap.
Strange squiggly line.
There's no cap back there, and it's fully fueled for more storms and more spinning storms.
In other words, a cap is when, just imagine you got a pot of boiling water on the stove and you put the lid on it, okay? The lid doesn't allow the steam to burst out, okay? So the steam stays in, all right? The pot gets hotter, the water boils more, but sooner or later, there's so much steam in that pot that it blows through the lid of that pot and it knocks it away, and we have explosive growth in the atmosphere. But there is no cap here to prevent storms from growing and popping. So there's no lid on the pot. So it's just boiling. It's just boiling, and they're just popping.
Highly sheared, highly unstable.
Yeah. Look at this thing. Look at it. Look at that. Still has a hook for the last 3.5 hours. It's the broad circulation, but again, we're almost into the Pennsylvania, the Pittsburgh radar. So this is probably a tighter spin close to the ground, but it's non-confirmed now. Non-confirmed. We had confirmed tornadoes from the same cell over the past 3 hours, but now you see the pink flashing tornado warning means it's non-confirmed. So right now it appears to be off the ground.
So this one goes until 4. We're 2 minutes to 4. I'm assuming they're going to have to extend it.
Because it's not even in the warning.
No. And it does still have that easterly push, but it Actually, so it moved south.
It's
Now it's moving
rotating.
basically due east.
It's rotating like this. Did you notice it's smiling at us?
It did.
It's kind of smiling at us a little bit.
Let me
It's
zoom out
coming
a
down.
little.
It's kind of coming down to the bottom of the roller coaster,
Yeah.
and it's going to flatten out and head east.
So Tuscarawas, Carroll County, and then it moves out of our viewing area. But that
Right.
means it could be another hour.
That's
to
interesting.
completely-
Again, I don't.
Oh,
like
they went severe.
Okay. They just reissued a warning for Tuscarawas County as a severe thunderstorm warning.
I'm going to flip over to the National Weather Service chat in Pittsburgh, see what they're saying
Okay.
about it.
Meantime, if you wouldn't mind going reflectivity on me,
Yeah.
we're going to keep an eye on this.
Any windstorm you want to look at?
Well, that Akron storm, that's a highly populated area, so I want to keep a very close eye on the Cuyahoga Falls Ravenna storm. We've got this little tiny appendage right here that stays close and connected to this storm. So if we go to our, check out some reflectivity. Ooh, again, this is some bad data here, obviously. It shouldn't be that bright. There is a couplet right in here. There's some spin right in here.
All these storms are just rapidly spinning.
Yeah,
rapidly
every one of
rotating.
them. New flood advisory up here for Cuyahoga and Lorain counties. Again, you've already had an additional 1.5 inches of rain, and you're going to get more, and that's on top of what you had yesterday. And look, that's over in it. Wow, that's 24-hour rainfall.
Yeah,
There's got to be some close to 3 inches in here already. 1.8 there,
Huron's at
2.8. Down in here, there's got to be a 3 right in there. Got to be a, betcha, we're getting close. 3.5. Yep. 3.5. Over here at Gates Mills. So there will be some flooding because we got additional heavy rainfall moving in right now
What a
as
mess.
we
Almost
speak.
7 inches
That's a lot of rain.
Right in here.
in
Sandusky.
less than 24 hours. What time is it?
24-hour
4?
total,
Yeah.
7 inches. Flood warning there until, that's got to go to tomorrow. It's got to go into tomorrow, I bet. Wow, 7.3 in the last 24 hours. This is Huron, Bogart, Bloomingville, Avery, Shinrock, surrounding that area there. Man, they have had the storms out here in Erie County this year, haven't they?
They have. So I did say I was going to go look at the National Weather Service chat in
Tornado
Pittsburgh.
warning canceled for Tuscarawas.
Yeah, they're doing tornado possible tag for that.
Okay.
They didn't give a whole lot of reasoning for it because it still has rotation. It's been rotating, but they just decided to go ahead and knock it down a little bit in terms of its warned.
So there's the hook there. Again, it's kind of ebbing and flowing and ebbing and flowing. We also have this storm forming behind it, which could impact the spin a little bit. But the main inflow is here, coming in from the south, and there's nothing stopping that. That's much broader rotation now. That's good news. That's very good news. We might be able to shut our mouths finally.
I know.
Shut our mouths finally.
It's been a couple hours.
Yeah. Katie and Trent have been with you since.
We started going about 12:30.
And if you're still with us on
12:30.
Facebook, I think we're still on Facebook Live right now. And as we kind of wrap this up, I think we're gonna essentially the rotation is pretty much broad now.